Erik, congrats on having all those players come back. That's really cool. It's certainly a testament to what you guys are doing on that side of the ball. My question is about some of those players. They're all very experienced. How do you keep them hungry? How do you keep developing those guys in the spring, even though they already know so much?
Yeah, well, thanks, Sam. I thought you were going to ask who got the black shirts already. You, that question hasn't come yet. No, it's a good question. I think that's kind of the balancing act of getting a lot of young guys that need reps, along with some of those older guys. We had a long season time-wise last year, but, short from the amount of games we played and the amount of reps everybody probably got. So those guys need reps as well. They need to sharpen their craft, and, they're really going to be working on their leadership this spring. And hopefully, we got 6 of those guys back, so hopefully we have, 6 extra coaches around during practice. They're very versed in what we're trying to do. They understand the drills and what we want to get done. So I'm asking those guys to kind of take dual roles of not only making themselves the best player they can be, sharpening their craft, but also helping us get everybody else where we need to go. Just a few more sets of eyes and ears out there. But I'm really pleased with those guys coming back. I think they're going to be very instrumental to what we're trying to do, and I'm just really happy when they all said they were coming back.
Thanks.
Lincoln Journal Star, Parker Gabriel.
Yeah, Erik, I guess a similar line of question, but with the number of guys who you have just in the program that are essentially going through spring for the first time, I guess, how much will that veteran group need to help pull that group along? And then how interested are you to see? I mean, when you're game planning, I'm guessing that you don't get a lot of time with Blaze Gunnerson or Jamari Butler or someone like that when you're in the middle of November and trying to prepare for a game.
Yeah, I love spring football because I think it's a great opportunity to work with guys like you mentioned, Blaze and Jamari, and a lot of other newer faces, guys that might have been here last year and redshirted and or were injured or didn't get a lot of reps. So I love spring football, being able to work with those guys and just watching those guys get better every day. Sometimes, like you mentioned, when you're in the middle of the season and you're game planning for an opponent and you're, getting the first 1 or 2 groups ready, sometimes there's not a ton of time that can be spent with those younger guys, but we all know that those younger guys are going to be they're the foundation on what we've got to build for the future. So it's great in spring ball to be able to get hands-on with those guys and really watch them get meaningful reps and play alongside, the 1s and the 2s as we interject those guys in the lineup. So I'm really, really excited about working with that young group of guys we have.
Another one in that group is Javen Wright, and I know there's been some talk about he could play different things. Do you have a plan with him this spring about where he slots in, or would you like to see him in multiple positions over the next 5 weeks?
Yeah, he's going to play multiple positions because I think he's going to have to be ready to play some multiple positions during the season. He's going to get in there with, take some reps. From JoJo at that spot, at that Sam nickel spot, and also have to play some safety as well. Isaac Gifford's going to do the same thing, but we're trying to get guys, ready to play wherever they can help us, and we just need to get all the best guys on the field. Plus, I think you guys had it well documented that JoJo played a lot of reps last year for us. I don't know in a 12-game season how many guys can play every single rep of every single game. So. As well as Deontai and Marquel. So being able to get some guys that can rotate in there and give those guys a few breaks throughout a long regular season, Big Ten plus non-conference, I think is going to be important to develop that depth.
Mitch Sherman, The Athletic.
Hey, Erik, Scott mentioned that Mike Dawson is going to be kind of leading the charge with special teams. You guys have obviously done that. Having an on-field coach, a position coach, also be in charge of special teams in the past. What, if anything, do you take from that experience in supporting him or, doing it the same, doing it different to make sure your special teams are as good as they can be?
Yeah, I think no matter who the special teams coach is, it's the job of all the assistants and when it's the defense and then, goes out on the field to practice and I'm coordinating and everybody else is, helping do whatever they can to make the defense the best. That's the same thing I need to do when Mike's out there coordinating the special teams. It's, my job to be an assistant in that phase and do anything I can to help out special teams. Mike's done a good job everywhere we've ever been. He's been a special teams coordinator before, has a lot of experience with that, so I know he'll do a great job there. And I'm just looking forward to coaching in that phase of the football game. Whatever he needs me to do, and I'm sure he'll give me roles on all 4 of those special teams, whether it be a very little task or a very big task. But we all know that, as good as special teams can be, that makes offense and defense better. I think that, the younger guys on defense need to find their way onto special teams. So I think it's great for myself and all the other guys to be able to help him coach all 4 phases in special teams.
Christopherson?
Hey, Erik, I know you're just getting to know him, but how useful is it to add a guy like Chris Kolarovich with his, an actual college resume with what he did at Northern Iowa?
Yeah, he's been a great addition so far. Like you said, we've had meetings and things of those natures, but we haven't had that much time with all the young guys yet. But just getting a guy in there that's played a lot of football, a lot of quality football. I was part of that league for a long time. There's extremely good football players in that league, extremely good football teams, and really good coaching. I know from the coaches that had him, his position coach and the defensive coordinator. I'm friends with those guys, so I know what kind of player he is and what they've done with him in the past. He's a guy that, you don't have to really teach necessarily the game of football. It's kind of learning a new language. He knows all the the concepts and everything that's happening. It's just learning a new set of language as he moves from UNI's defense to our defense. But it's been great. It's been like a veteran, like getting a free agent in the NFL. And I think that he's going to have a huge impact on the football team.
Are him and Nick Henrich, are they guys who can be chess pieces you move around the linebacker spots outside, inside, or is he in that same mold, or how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think, for right now with him, Nick definitely, Nick's shown that he can do it. Nick's a football guy. I've said it before, and he can pick it up and play different spots if you need him to. And Nick's got some length. Chris right now is going to be playing inside linebacker for us, and we'll see in the future if we move him around some. But like I said, he's a really good football player that knows and understands football. So I wouldn't be out of the realm of imagination to think that he can move and play some different spots as well.
Thank you.
Derek Peterson, Hail Varsity.
Hey, I was asking Coach Frost and Coach Lubick about just kind of culture within the team, and one thing that they both said was that it has to really be player-led. Have you guys seen any specific guys that have really sort of stepped up into that role that maybe they haven't been in the past? Like you had Colin Miller and DiCaprio Boodle who've moved on. Have there been other guys that have kind of taken those spots?
Yeah, I think, when the group of guys decided they wanted to come back, along with Cam Taylor deciding that he wanted to return for another year, I think when those guys, that group was an interesting group. When they were making all their decisions, they kind of, I know they all had to do each thing individually for what was best for themselves, but I know they all got together and kind of talked about their goals and what they wanted to get done, and if they're going to come back, they'd like to do it together. So that group is kind of banded together and stepped up in that leadership role. We'll see once spring football gets here if some individual voices emerge, but right now that group of those guys that have come back has just been kind of the driving force, especially on the defensive side of the football.
Cam's a guy, he was behind Lamar Jackson and DiCaprio his first year, and then he was with DiCaprio next year. With DiCaprio kind of moving on, does it feel like he maybe has – you get the sense that he sees like a platform for himself to sort of be that guy in the DB room? Yeah,
definitely. Definitely, especially at the corner spot, and I think he's taken it upon himself to help that next group of corners come up. Obviously, like you said, DiCaprio's gone now, so somebody's got to take that take that other corner job, and we need some guys to rotate in and some guys to be able to play in nickel and dime packages. But Cam's taking it upon himself to kind of lead that that corner position, and then Deontai and Marquel have come back to lead that safety position. So I think in the back end, there's some good leadership there, and there's a lot of good talent there.
I think 2 more for Coach Sean Callahan.
Hey, Coach, follow up on that corner question. How do you kind of size that race up right now? I mean, who will be the guys that you really work with the first groups when you guys start practice this week in terms of replacing Boodle at that open corner spot?
Yeah, Sean, I want to see a bunch of different guys play, and I want to see a bunch of different combinations together. There's just a lot of guys that are out there that have had some good reps, some guys that we really have to find out who can step in there and be that guy. Obviously, names like Quentin Newsome and Braxton Clark and Adab Joseph and Taman Lynham. You have a lot of guys that can do a lot of nice things. But as we all know, we can talk however much we want, we can say what we want, but the beautiful thing about this game is when the lights turn on, we're going to find out. And the only way we're going to find out is to let those guys have opportunities with the ones and the twos and to play against, the really, really good competition on the other side of the football. And so hopefully by spring football, it'll shake itself out. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's pretty even going into spring football, and then you need fall camp. But it'll work itself out. And I know this, you have to have more than 2 corners, especially going through a full season. Last year, I think, we all got away with, everybody in the country probably got away with playing guys a little bit more than they probably could because of the shortened season. But, to be a really good football team, you have to have depth, especially at that corner position. You need to be able to roll in 3 or 4 guys every game and make sure everybody's fresh, as much as Cam's going to be in the return game, and some of those corners are going to be playing gunner and jammer on special teams. So we have to have good depth there, and hopefully by the time spring ball's over, it'll shake out a little bit.
Yeah, when you have a spread team on the schedule like Oklahoma early on, how important is it that you figure out who those guys are? Because you're probably going to need more than, as you said, 2 corners early on this season.
Yeah, for sure. You're going to have to not only we have to find out who those guys are, but we're going to have to develop in enough where they're going to have to play right away. As you said, there may be more than 2 on the field, or you're playing against a really good Oklahoma football team it's pretty powerful on offense, and they're going to be in spread situations. There may be a good rotation going on there. So I think we're going to have to identify those guys through spring, and then really get them a lot of reps in fall camp, and we're going to have to play them early so that they're ready for a game like that.
Last one for Coach Chinander, Steve Sipple, Journal Star.
Just going big picture, Erik, you got all these guys back. We've talked about it. I'm sure you're expecting improvement, but how much improvement should we expect? What's realistic for this defense?
Oh, I don't know, except that's a good question. I think, you get into spring football, and, we talked about it at length a little bit today with the guys, and, improvement, first off, you have to improve every day. Every single guy on the team, every coach has to improve a little bit every day. And big things add up to little things. So if you get a little better every day, and at the end of the spring and at the end of the fall camp, then you can chip away at some big improvement. But, if you look at kind of what we had going on last year, the missed tackles, were down from whatever. I had it on a piece of paper this morning, 11 something down to 8 something per game. If you can get that down a little lower, and you can hold teams, I think we were giving up about 5 explosives a game last year. If you can get that down another couple, and then if you can find a way to create 2 or more turnovers a game, those are the improvements. Then you're talking about what seems like a little thing that we're talking about turns out to be a huge thing when you're talking about where you're ranked in defense and the amount of points you give up, and ultimately the amount of wins you get. So I think you always have to, you can expect a lot of improvement, but you have to put it in front of the guys in obtainable situations. And if you can break it down as small as you can, try to accomplish those goals, then a lot of improvement is very, very reachable. So I'm looking at the little things first. I'm looking through the microscope, and then hopefully that grows into something huge throughout the season.
One other thing, you can't have Oklahoma in the front of your mind, but can you have Oklahoma in the back of your mind a little bit, that offense?
Yeah, I think, for me right now, as we were kind of going through, and you're looking at everybody a little bit as the season gets over. Kind of the natural progression is, as a staff, we're looking at our film, and then you're kind of looking at your most familiar opponents, your Big Ten West counterparts. Spring football, I won't spend very much time looking at opponents because I need to dedicate this month or this month and a half to our guys. Our guys are what really matters. But then as we get out of this spring ball phase, especially with we won't be able to go out recruiting like we normally do. That's when we'll take a peek at our opponents, and you kind of want to do it backwards a little bit, if you will, because if you do it backwards, then the team you play first, Illinois, they'll be freshest in your mind when you go into the summer season. But we'll definitely be diving in. And I know that's a game the guys are fired up for. They talked about wanting to be able to compete with a team like Oklahoma. So I think in the next, after about a month and spring ball's finally all the dust is settled, that's when we'll get a chance to take a look at Oklahoma. But obviously with the team as good as they are on the schedule, you got to think about it a little bit, and you got to start getting ready for them.
Thank you.